Movie thoughts. Star Trek Beyond is the third film in the rebooted franchise created by J.J. Abrams, directed by Justin Lee. It does have some problems. However, I'm not going to get into them just yet. So, effectively what happens in the story, and I might have a few minor spoilers here if you haven't seen the trailers. Like, all I'm going to do is explain about some of the trailers, not the actual film. But effectively what happens is that the Enterprise is called out into a nebula which holds a planet and then gets destroyed. It is then up to Kirk and his commanding officers to effectively get the crew back together, get back to safety, and save Yorktown, which is a space station that is in the deep space for the Federation, and effectively, yeah, it's got a lot of people on. Now, here's my problem with Yorktown. It is massive, like literally massive. And it feels as big as a Dyson Sphere. Now, I love Star Trek, and I know a lot about Star Trek. A Dyson Sphere was effectively this ancient piece of technology that would encompass a civilization. There's quite a few things that you can pick up about the Dyson Spheres throughout the Next Generation series. But really, Star Trek, they're saying that humans now have this technology, and it's kind of like, okay, the Federation suddenly just got this technology out of nowhere, and it did feel a lot like Into Darkness, where I can't remember what the name of the ship was, the Destroyer or whatever, but the big bad ship at the end of Into Darkness that just appears out of nowhere. It's just like overpowered, and everything feels overpowered in this. So the Enterprise gets destroyed. And this is by a race of who we don't know. It's essentially a hive of ships that just destroy the Enterprise. And visually, it's very pleasing. However, we've seen the Enterprise get destroyed before. In Search for Spock, Kirk blows it up as a tactical advantage. Nobody dies. In Generations, it is blown up by the Klingons. This is the Enterprise D. It gets blown up by the Klingons, and it has a really nice shot of the saucer section re-entering an atmosphere of a planet and then crash landing. Yeah, that is kind of copied in this film, and I know for a fact the Constellation class starship that the original Enterprise is, that saucer could not separate. And I'm going to get really nitpicky here and say, yeah, okay. But all of that aside, actually the story is fairly good. I really enjoyed the story, including the bits where the Enterprise crashes and then Kirk trying to get his crew going, and he has motivations. And you see his character evolve a little bit more, and you see Spock evolve a little bit more. Anton Yelchin, really sad, like that. This is probably going to be one of his last movies. But he does a lot more for Chekhov. And Scotty, not so much. Actually, let's just go back to Chekhov for a minute. So, Chekhov he plays a lot more in the first half of this film than he has ever in the other two. Like, for me, I thought that Chekhov was kind of shooed to one side and he didn't really have much of a character. It was kind of just, he was interjected as a joke and nostalgia, whereas I feel that this time he's got a lot more screen time, he's got more action, and he's funny and witty at the same time. I still don't like the accent, though. It feels forced and fake, and I've said it in the past, and people have hated me for saying it, but I don't quite feel it, unfortunately. I do think that Yelchin has done a fantastic performance, and I just want to say that, like, it is a real shame that he has passed away, because I generally believe if you put him in the right role with the right director, he could do something fantastic. So it's It's really unfortunate. And you see, this film's cursed because there's 2 cast members that have passed away. Well, Leonard Nimoy, he passed away before this film started, and actually there are some great tributes to Nimoy in this film, and Spock's whole character revolves around his future self passing away, and he kind of is in this upheaval. He doesn't know what he is anymore, and he has a lot of questions going on, and I felt that was really, really well handled and well done. Like, hats off to them. Okay, so here's my problems. The main villain, Kroll, like, he is literally evil for the sake of being evil. There's no character development. It's kind of stupid. We also have a ship that has crash-landed on this planet in the nebula called the USS Franklin. And there's a lot of history from Enterprise, the TV series Enterprise, that is massively overlooked. They get bits of it right, and then there are bits of it that just are really wrong, because the USS Franklin is the first Warp 4 ship. Bear in mind, it's NX2 something, so it's way after NX-01, which is the Enterprise. It's weird because it's not handled all that well. I think that they've kind of shooed a lot of history under the carpet, and that's a shame. Even though the Enterprise wasn't received very well, I personally liked it. I like the first 2 series. I'm not so keen on the 3rd and the 4th. I think it lost a lot of the money, and that was where the main problem was for that TV show. But, yeah, the Franklin, there's too many errors that they're creeping in. And the Makos, they are sort of interjected into this in some way. I'm not going to spoil how they are, but they are interjected into this. And then you've got the Xindi War and the Romulan Wars, and it's all kind of shoved to one side a little bit. There's not really much arc with the Franklin. And because of it, Kroll, as a character, the villain, like, all of that is just shooed to one side. And he's literally just evil for the sake of being evil. Oh, and Justin Lee, like, he's a great action director, but he doesn't have an angle, and he can't get his focus right. So he just randomly threw a motorbike into it because it's Justin Lee, and I hated that. I hated the motorbike scene. I thought it was awful. Like, really poorly done. Like, it's literally just saying, hey, I'm the director of Fast and Furious. There we go. Actually, that's the same for all the action scenes. They were all really rushed. The cuts were really harsh and severe. You couldn't see what was going on, and then all of a sudden, steady cam. And it's just like, wait, what? It didn't make sense. Really, what Justin Lee's tried to do with this film is make this into a summer blockbuster. A dumb summer blockbuster. And I get it. It's coming out in the summer. It's dumb. It's got a lot of action. Justin Lee, you're really good at doing that sort of thing. Like, really, really good at that. And I won't take that away from you. Like, the Fast and Furious films are great on their own, but it just doesn't belong in a Star Trek universe. I'm sorry, it doesn't belong there. Like, Star Trek is about the exploration and the waiting and the tactical advantage. That was what made it different. Like, even in the reboots, the rebooted films in the last 2 years, Into Darkness and Star Trek, they still had elements of that. They still had elements of them standing on the bridge and doing, like, thinking, and you could see that, whereas this was more action, and the thinking side was kind of maybe dust over.
Okay, let's never do that again.
All in all, I did enjoy it. It's like half a good Star Trek film, but there's like another half of it that isn't, and the other half is the wrong sort of film. So, like, a lot of the character development, I feel that was really well handled. I don't like Scotty. I thought that I love Simon Pegg, but I don't think he does very well as Scotty at all. Like, there's too much Lassie and Amy, and there's way too much. It's just gone way too Scottish. Like, it's getting a bit ridiculous now with Simon Pegg. Like, Simon Pegg, please stop. You're killing this character. Stop. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the final thing is the ship scales. So the Enterprise is tiny compared to the Yorktown, and then when the Enterprise gets destroyed, it is attacked by something as a swarm that is like-sided. Now, when this swarm then attacks Yorktown, it is the like size of the Yorktown, And the Franklin, which comes into play, which is supposed to be a lot smaller than the Enterprise, then ends up being about as big as the Yorktown as well. And all the scales are just way off. Like, way off in this. Like, the individual little swarms then start being the size of the of the Franklin, and the Franklin is, like, obviously needs to be really small, but then it's, like, massive, and it just doesn't feel right. Like, you've got to get the scales right, because that's the whole fun of Star Trek sometimes for me. In my head, like, the designs of the ships, I love them. I need to look up what the Franklin was. I feel like it's been referenced before in the original Star Trek show. I know it's not referenced in Enterprise, but I feel like I need to search that up. So yeah, maybe I'm missing something. And maybe I've got this wrong. Maybe I need to watch it again and to fully understand it. Like, it took me a few showings for Into Darkness to appreciate that, and I actually do like that film now. And a lot of people don't. And I do like Star Trek. They've both got errors, and this one, I would say, is probably the lesser of the three, but it still feels part of that franchise. So, in terms of the franchise, I think that they've kind of gone in the right step. But in terms of Star Trek, I feel that they're going down a path that was started with J.J. Abrams, and it's just continually going down this path that isn't Star Trek. And that worries me, because Star Trek Discovery was just announced yesterday at Comic-Con, and I want that to be Star Trek. I want that to be a Star Trek TV show. I don't want that to really reflect too much of what the films are doing at the moment. Having said all that, I did enjoy this. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Okay, I know I just said that I enjoyed it and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, but the 7 out of 10 isn't actually a reflection on whether I enjoyed it or not. I think that it's done well in terms of story and the character development, and a lot of the CGI is great. I personally didn't have as much fun with this, and the ending was a little bit questionable. But 7 out of 10 is what it deserves, because it is a big Hollywood blockbuster, and they've put a lot of money into this, and it kind of pays off. Like, there are a lot of scenes that are really well shot and really well done and really well edited. It's just that some of the action scenes kind of fall a bit short in places because it doesn't quite fit the feel of the film. And I do like the story angle of this, though it is completely and utterly irrelevant. Like, everything that the bad guy does, like, it's completely and utterly useless. And that's me turning my page because I can't remember what his name was. Kroll, that was his name. There we go. But, yeah, there are flaws, but I enjoyed it. Until next time, guys, I'll see you then. God damn it, 15 minutes about Star Trek? Fuck.